So I want to talk about being financially responsible. There is this TikTok meme that's going around. It's called "Let's Be Financially Responsible," and it's showing people the sort of showing people's poor decisions, or it's supposed to be showing people's poor financial decisions. And you know what? I look at this and I see a lot of people feeling guilty for things. Right? It's not necessarily that. Um, they're looking at this and they're saying they're judging themselves after buying something. I'm going to tell you this right up front. As a business professor, I think you should buy things and do things that are quote unquote financially irresponsible a lot of times. I think those things are actually, they're a gift, right? Like those are really, really good things to actually do. And I want you to work on, I think the bigger thing with this is not necessarily working on the fact that he bought this thing, but working on the fact of the emotions you're experiencing behind the fact of buying this particular thing. And if you work on that, you'll actually make, in the long run, in my belief, you'll make much better decisions in terms of managing this, right? Because there's a bit of a cycle that goes on that we all go through and we all experience these things, right? We feel guilty at the particular moment. We sort of look at something, we dream about it, and then we feel guilty. And then, we have buyer's regret after where we're like, oh, why did I buy that thing? And then we're disappointed with ourselves. And we go through this sort of vicious cycle. And instead of doing that, I would rather have you think about how can I manage this so that the whole process is a much better experience, right? So that when you actually buy something that, you're actually doing something because, A, yeah, you're able to get there, but then B, you're not feeling so guilty about the things that you're doing. So buying things for pleasure is really important. I think people sort of forget about that. Is that is an important part of life, is buying things that just give you pure pleasure, right? Like, what would life be like if we didn't have ice cream, right? Like, I don't think that would be all that fun. Those things, buying ice cream, those things that are just for pure pleasure, they're not calculated. And this is a total flaw on business schools. This is a total flaw in the way that financial education is taught. Even the term, when I say financial education, you're sort of thinking of this stodgy thing. Um, that's not at all what you should be thinking about, right? Like, it should be, let's plan in having quite a bit of fun in our lives, right? Like that should be part of your decision making, is where are the fun things that we're going to do. And as a couple, sometimes you make a decision, sometimes you're on your own as well, but you have to plan in fun. And was a really, for me, it's been a really important part, because I am that dude that is financially responsible. And my wife is a lot more, she tends to be a little bit more funner with things. I, both of us are actually, so she loves spending some things, and we both have kind of rubbed off on each other a little bit, right? So she does better with making sure that we have fun, but now she is a little bit more financial responsible in some other areas because we sort of have rubbed off on each other. But one of the things that has allowed me to do this entrepreneurial pursuit and to do something that is different, is being completely financially irresponsible. And this is the debate. This is the challenge that I'm constantly thinking about. It's expensive building a platform, right? And so by the way, if you don't know, I'm building the reciprocity platform. This is where I am. There's this real problem that exists with researchers and PhDs, that you just Google it and you just start looking at the memes, you'll realize it's a really dark thing. And a lot of people go through a lot of dark moments. I'm trying to build this platform to make sure people feel good along the way and they get feedback along the way. They're constantly getting positive feedback that's fun and silly and goofy. And so they can get back up and do it and do the work every day. I'm building it for myself because it's really freaking hard. That was my experience, and it still is my experience, right? So I want to build this so it's fun and goofy. Anyways, that's a sidetrack. But being able to do that, um, being financially irresponsible has been actually a joy, right? Like spending on this particular thing where I know that there's better returns. Um, it's a joy, but at the same time, like in my stomach, I'm like, I'm really wrestling with it. I'd feel those pain emotions right now, right? Like I feel it in my stomach where I'm like, oh, this is rough. Um, I don't think my wife feels it in the same sort of way. She's probably more like disappointed. Those kind of emotions, what the hell are you doing? Those kind of things. But for me, it's very much like this is painful of spending money and building this thing out. So when you build things, nobody's coming to the rescue, right? Like even this is sort of a noble thing or, it's a pursuit that I think is important, but nobody is coming to the rescue, right? Like you don't, people that believe that they had rich parents. Um, that's my belief, right? Like you have rich contacts, and they're usually your rich parents are going to come to the rescue, save you. And you can find, the rich frat boy kind of stuff where you can find people or frat girl, sorority girl, where you can find people to fund your business. That's not my experience, right? That's not real life. And so for me to build this thing, because it's not like a normal thing, it's not like lawn mowing or something that's going to generate revenue very quickly. It is basically a radical innovation. The more I'm been doing this, the more I realize it's pretty radical innovation. That requires a lot of effort. It requires a lot of money and resources to get the damn thing working. And so to spend that time and effort, which I've allocated like 10 to 15%, um, as long as I possibly can to get this thing, it requires me to be completely financially irresponsible. So I want you to think about that. How can you be financially irresponsible in the ways that you want to be? Right? And that's ultimately what we're talking about here is just allocating. It's a fancy term, allocating resources, right? So you have a certain amount and you want to divvy it up and find the best possible ways that you can divvy it up. Of course, you want to go to Disney World, right? Of course, you want to buy the PlayStation and, all those those wonderful stuff. Of course, you want to buy a nice car, right? How do you get there? It requires planning and effort and actually working towards it so you can actually have that thing, right? So looking at, okay, I want to buy a nice sports car. What's that going to take realistically for most people in North America, sort of Western developed countries? You're probably, if you're going to do this properly, for a sports car, you should aim for 10 to 20 years, right? Like it's going to take me some time to save up. And I have other things I want to do. So, working backwards, from that 10 to 20 year limit, figure out what it takes to actually get there, to buy the damn thing at a 20-year sort of track and saving up to actually get there. And once you know that, right, so a sports car fancy sports car now probably costs $100,000, right? Like not like a Lamborghini, but a pretty damn good one. So going to take you 20 years, right? So that's $5,000 a year that you're going to have to save. Then you got to figure out where you're going to get that $5,000 from, right? So that $5,000 might come from various different other parts of your life and save up to actually get there, right? Like figure out, okay, I'm going to give up this. I'm going to give up I'm going to have a hunk of junk up car for a long time so I can save up and get that nice car. And that is perfectly fine. That's a great decision for you to actually do that. Um, you're thinking about, so I personally wouldn't do that because that's not my thing. Sports cars don't really, it's not my thing anymore. So, but if that's your thing, figure out what it means to actually get there and then work backwards to actually get there, right? What is that thing? What is that target to actually get there? It's difficult. So physical things in the world are really easy to sort of figure that out in terms of how to actually get there. It's a little more trickier when you have amorphous sort of thing, right? An amorphous thing like you want to create a business or something like that. That's more challenging. Um, but it's still thinking about, you still have to do planning and sort of taking your time. And that's ultimately that I want you to think about. It's take your time, go slow, one little step at a time. If you rush it, and you have that sort of panicky feeling, right? Then you're going to make some not as great decisions. But if you take your time, you really work at it, even in a couple as a family, and you say, hey, this is my goal. I want in 20 years, I want to have like this wicked ass sports car. Um, I think your spouse will definitely understand why you're doing it and you'll be able to get there. And if they don't, that is a moment where you need to have a conversation or you need to sit down, with a therapist to work through this, right? Like that is something that you guys are not working out together properly. Um, and uh, um, I'm not judging in any sort of way because we all go through this. This is sort of life stuff that you go through, and we all need things from time to time. It's not like my wife. I, um, those are important things, right, to go through, and then that's the stuff. If you can build that and you eventually get there, I mean, that is the dream. That's the cool thing. All right, take care and have a wonderful day.